The address on my phone didn't match the building in front of me. I stood on the rain-slicked sidewalk, delivery bag clutched against my chest, staring up at the iron-gated mansion that shouldn't exist in this neighborhood. My app said 1247 Riverside Drive, a modest apartment complex where I'd delivered pad thai dozens of times, but the GPS had rerouted me 3 blocks south. And now I was looking at something that belonged in a crime documentary, not my Tuesday night shift. The gate hung partially open. Beyond it, warm light spilled from tall windows, turning the rain into gold needles. I should have called the customer, should have messaged support, should have done anything except what I did, which was walk through that gate because I was 23, broke, and couldn't afford another ding on my rating. The front door was mahogany, heavy as a coffin lid. I knocked twice. Footsteps approached, slow, measured, the kind that suggested whoever was coming had all the time in the world and knew it. The door opened. The man standing there held a gun in his left hand and my delivery bag in his right. I stopped breathing. He was tall, dark-suited, with black hair pushed back from a face that looked like it had been carved with a blade that knew exactly where to cut. Sharp jaw. Sharper eyes so dark they looked black in the entrance light. Blood spotted his crisp white shirt collar. "You're late," he said. His voice was low, controlled, the kind of quiet that made you lean closer even when every instinct screamed to run. My voice cracked. The address glitched. "I think there's been a mistake." "No mistake." He glanced at the bag in his hand, my bag then back at me. "You're Sophia Chen, 23, student, lives on Maple Street." He tilted his head slightly. "You should lock your apartment door." Ice flooded my veins. He knew my name, my age, where I lived. Behind him, I caught movement, a man in a dark suit dragging something heavy across marble floors. Not something. Someone. A body with a slack face and empty eyes. The man at the door shifted, blocking my view with his body. Deliberate. Protective, almost. "Come inside," he said. No, that wasn't a request. He stepped back, opening the door wider. The gun hung loose at his side, casual as a car key. "You've already seen too much." My legs wouldn't move. Rain plastered my hair to my face, cold water running down my spine. The delivery bag between us felt obscene evidence of the mundane world I'd just stepped out of. "What's your name?" I whispered. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or amusement. "Dante," he said finally. "Dante Volkov." The name meant nothing to me. Should it have? The way he said it suggested it should have. "I'm calling the police." "No." He said it so simply, with such absolute certainty, that my hand froze halfway to my pocket. "You're not." "Why?" I hated how small my voice sounded. He studied me for a long moment, really looked at me, like he was cataloging every detail. My cheap rain jacket, the ink stain on my thumb, the scar on my chin from falling off my bike at 8 years old. "Because," he said quietly, "if you do, you'll be dead before morning, and I'd prefer you weren't." The words should have terrified me. They did terrify me, but there was something else underneath the fear, something hot and electric that made no sense at all. He stepped back again. "Last chance, Sophia. Inside, or I let you walk away. Your choice. But know this, if you leave, you'll spend the rest of your very short life looking over your shoulder." I thought of my apartment, my classes, my best friend Mira, who'd been texting me cat memes all evening, my mother's disappointed face the last time I'd visited, asking when I'd get a real job. I thought of the body being dragged across his floor. I stepped inside. The door closed behind me with a sound like the world ending. The interior of Dante Volkov's house looked like a museum had mated with a weapons cache. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, Renaissance paintings in gilt frames, and everywhere men in dark suits with guns at their hips, moving through the space like sharks through deep water. Dante's hand landed on my lower back, guiding me past the entrance hall. His touch burned through my wet jacket. "Don't look at them," he murmured near my ear. "Don't speak to them. Don't exist." "What?" "Shh." His fingers pressed slightly. "I'm trying to keep you alive." He steered me down a corridor lined with closed doors, then up a curved staircase that belonged in a Gothic novel. My shoes squeaked on the marble. The delivery bag still hung from his other hand, absurdly normal against the nightmare backdrop. We reached a door at the end of the second-floor hallway. He opened it, pushed me gently inside, then followed and locked it behind us. The room was a study leather furniture, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a massive desk with 3 computer monitors. Rain hammered against tall windows overlooking gardens I couldn't quite see in the darkness. Dante finally set down the gun. Then the delivery bag. Sit, he said, gesturing to a leather couch. I stayed standing. What the hell is happening? He shrugged off his suit jacket, revealing the blood-stained shirt beneath. Shoulder holster. More blood. He moved to a sidebar and poured amber liquid into 2 glasses. You delivered food to the wrong address, he said calmly. You saw something you shouldn't have. Now you're here until I decide what to do with you. That's kidnapping. Yes, he held out a glass. Bourbon? I stared at him. At his perfect calm. At the blood drying brown at his collar. At his hands long-fingered, elegant, probably capable of unspeakable things. Who was that man downstairs? No one who matters anymore. Did you kill him? Dante's eyes met mine over the rim of his glass. What do you think? I thought yes. I thought definitely yes. I thought I was standing in a room with a murderer, and my body was responding in ways that made me hate myself. Drink, he said. You're in shock. I took the glass. Drank. The bourbon burned all the way down, clearing some of the fog from my brain. Dante circled his desk, settling into the chair behind it. He looked like a king on a throne, like someone who'd never heard the word no, and wouldn't know what to do with it if he had. How long? I asked. How long what? How long am I here? He considered this, swirling bourbon in his glass. That depends on several factors. Whether anyone saw you arrive, whether anyone's looking for you, whether you can be trusted. Trusted to do what? Not die. He smiled, and it was the most frightening thing I'd seen all night. It's harder than it sounds in my world. I sank onto the couch, suddenly exhausted. My hands shook. The glass rattled against my teeth as I drank again. What world is that exactly? Dante leaned back in his chair, studying me with those impossible dark eyes. You really don't know who I am? Should I? Most people in this city do. He paused. I run the Volkov family. Have for 6 years, since my father died. The name still meant nothing. But the way he said family, capital F implied, made my stomach clench. You're Mafia, I whispered. We prefer organization, but yes, essentially. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. I stood abruptly, pacing to the windows. Outside, rain turned the gardens into an impressionist painting. I could see my reflection in the glass, small, pale, utterly out of place. Behind me, Dante's chair creaked as he rose. Sophia, don't. I pressed my forehead against the cold glass. Just don't. He came up behind me. I could feel his heat. Smell his cologne, something dark and expensive and wrong for me in every possible way. I won't hurt you, he said quietly. You already have. I turned to face him. We were too close. I could see gold flecks in his eyes I hadn't noticed before. Could see the precise line of his jaw, the small scar through his left eyebrow. You've trapped me here. Made me complicit in whatever. You were complicit the moment you walked through that door. I didn't have a choice. Everyone has a choice. His hand came up slowly, giving me time to flinch away. When I didn't, his fingers brushed wet hair back from my face. The gesture was shockingly gentle. You chose to come inside. That makes you mine now. The word mine landed like a bullet. For how long? His thumb traced my cheekbone. I don't know yet. We stood there, breathing the same air, while rain hammered the windows and somewhere downstairs, men cleaned up a murder. This close, I could see his pupils dilate, could feel tension radiating from him like heat. You're afraid, he observed. Yes. Good. His hand dropped. Fear keeps you alive. Remember that. He walked back to his desk, putting distance between us. Creating space I should have been grateful for but somehow wasn't. There's a bedroom through that door, he said, nodding to a panel I hadn't noticed. Bathroom attached. You'll stay there tonight. Tomorrow we'll discuss arrangements. What kind of arrangements? Dante picked up his gun, checking something on it with practiced ease. The kind that keep you breathing, Sophia. That's all you need to worry about right now. He moved toward the door, then paused with his hand on the lock. One more thing. His voice had gone cold again, controlled. If you try to leave, I will find you. And whatever happens next will be significantly less pleasant than this conversation. Understand? I nodded, throat too tight for words. He left, locking the door behind him. I stood alone in the study, bourbon burning in my stomach, rain against glass, and the terrifying knowledge that my ordinary life had just ended with a glitched address and a murderer's too gentle touch. I didn't sleep. The bedroom beyond Dante's study was obscenely beautiful, king bed, with silk sheets, marble bathroom, walk-in closet filled with women's clothing in exactly my size. That last detail made my skin crawl. How long had he been planning this? Or did he just keep a wardrobe of options for the women he kidnapped? I spent the night curled in an armchair by the window, watching dawn break over gardens that looked like something from a European estate. Hedges, shaped into geometric patterns, stone fountains, gravel paths leading nowhere I could see, a prison dressed as paradise. Around 6, I heard movement outside the bedroom door. Footsteps, low voices. The smell of coffee drifted under the doorframe. At 7, someone knocked. "Come in," I said, voice hoarse. The door opened. Not Dante, a woman, maybe 40, in a severe black dress. She carried a silver tray with coffee, pastries, and what looked like fresh clothes. "Mr. Volkov requests your presence for breakfast," she said in accented English. Russian. Maybe. "You have 30 minutes. She set the tray on a side table and left without waiting for response. I stared at the food. My stomach growled, despite everything. When had I last eaten? Before my shift. Hours ago. A lifetime ago. I showered, scrubbing delivery shift sweat and rain and fear from my skin. The bathroom was stocked with expensive products, shampoo that smelled like orchids, body wash that probably cost more than my rent. I used them anyway. If Dante Volkov wanted to kidnap me, he could at least fund my hygiene. The clothes fit perfectly. Black pants, cream silk blouse, soft leather shoes. I looked like someone who belonged in this house. The thought made me want to tear everything off. 28 minutes later, the woman returned. "Follow me." We descended the grand staircase. In daylight, the house looked different. Less menacing, more magnificent. Morning sun streamed through high windows, turning dust motes into stars. Paintings revealed themselves as legitimate masterpieces. That was a Caravaggio. That was a Klimt. How much blood money decorated these walls? She led me to a breakfast room overlooking the gardens. Glass walls on 3 sides. A table set for 2. And Dante, standing with his back to me, phone pressed to his ear. "I don't care what Mikhail thinks," he was saying. "Tell him if he crosses that line again, I'll send him back to Moscow in pieces." A pause. All the pieces. Eventually, he turned as I entered, dark eyes sweeping over me. Something flickered in his expression, approval, maybe, or possession. He ended the call without goodbye. "Sophia, sit." The woman had vanished. We were alone, except for the man stationed outside the glass doors, another suit, another gun. I sat. Dante settled across from me, pouring coffee with the ease of someone who'd never questioned his right to command. "You didn't sleep," he observed. "Would you?" "No." He pushed a plate of pastries toward me. "But I'm not you." I took a croissant just to have something to do with my hands. Tore it into small pieces without eating. Dante watched this with amusement. "Are you always this defiant when kidnapped? Or am I special? You tell me. How many women have you kept here?" "None." He sipped his coffee. "You're the first." I didn't know if that made things better or worse. "Why?" I asked. "Why not just let me go? Pay me off? Threaten me into silence? Because threats don't work on people who have nothing to lose." His gaze held mine. "And you, Sophia Chen, have very little to lose. Student loans you'll never pay off. A mother who stopped speaking to you after you dropped pre-med. A best friend who deserves better than late-night crisis calls. A delivery job that barely covers rent." Each word landed like a slap. "How do you—" "I know everything." He set down his cup with careful precision. "Your credit score. Your academic probation. The fact that you cry in your car after particularly bad shifts. The fact that you're brilliant tested genius level in elementary school, but you've spent your entire life making yourself smaller to fit other people's expectations." Rage flooded through me, hot and clarifying. "You had me investigated." "Of course." He said it like it was obvious. "Reasonable. You walked into my home. I needed to know who you were." "You mean you needed to know how to control me?" "Yes." No apology in it. No shame. "That's exactly what I mean." I stood abruptly, chair scraping against tile. "I want to leave." "No. You can't just—" "I can." Dante rose slowly, moving around the table with predator grace. "I can do whatever I want, Sophia. That's what power means. And right now, I want you here." "Why?" I backed away until glass pressed against my shoulders. "What possible use am I to you?" He closed the distance between us. one hand coming up to brace against the glass beside my head, trapping me. The heat of him, the dark wool smell of his suit, the coffee on his breath. "I don't know yet," he murmured. "That's what makes you interesting." This close, I could see exhaustion shadowing his eyes, could see tension in his jaw, the way his free hand flexed at his side like he was fighting the urge to touch me. "You're not what I expected," he continued softly. "You should have run last night, should have screamed, called for help. But you didn't. You walked in, you drank my bourbon, and you looked at me like—" He stopped, jaw working. "Like what?" "Like you saw something worth seeing." My breath caught. Because he was right. God help me, he was right. Underneath the fear and rage and absolute insanity of this situation, some traitorous part of me had looked at Dante Volkov, murderer, criminal, captor, and felt recognition, kinship, something. "You're wrong," I whispered. "Am I?" His hand dropped from the glass, fingers grazing my jaw instead. "Just barely. The lightest touch." "Then why is your pulse racing?" "Because I'm terrified." "Yes." His thumb brushed my throat, finding my racing pulse. But not only that, I should have pushed him away. Slapped him. Something. Instead, I stood frozen, while morning sun turned his black eyes to honey, and revealed exactly how dangerous this man was to me. Not because he could kill me, because part of me didn't want to leave. A phone buzzed. Dante stepped back immediately, checking the screen. His expression shuddered. "I have business," he said, voice cold again. "Professional. Marco will escort you back upstairs. Stay in the study or bedroom. Don't wander. Don't speak to anyone. Don't do anything that makes me regret keeping you alive." He walked away without looking back, already raising the phone to his ear, already moving into whatever darkness ran his world. I stood against the glass, pulse still racing, his touch burning on my skin like a brand. The man outside Marco apparently opened the door. "Miss Chen." I followed him back through the gorgeous, blood-bought house, and tried to remember who I'd been 24 hours ago. That girl felt like a stranger now. 3 days passed in strange suspension. I lived in Dante's study and bedroom like a ghost, appearing for meals when summoned, disappearing again when dismissed. The house operated around me, men coming and going, phones ringing at all hours, heated conversations in Russian and Italian that I couldn't follow but understood perfectly well meant death. Dante was rarely present. When he was, we orbited each other carefully. He worked at his desk while I read from his extensive library. We ate breakfast together in silence. Once, passing in the hallway, his hand had brushed mine and we'd both frozen like teenagers caught doing something forbidden. The tension between us grew teeth. On the 4th night, I woke to gunfire. The sound shattered sleep like glass, sharp, immediate, terrifyingly close. I bolted upright, heart slamming against my ribs. More shots. Shouting. The heavy thunder of men running. I scrambled from bed, grabbing the nearest thing that could be a weapon, a heavy bookend shaped like a lion. Ridiculous. Useless. But holding it made me feel less helpless. The door to the study burst open. Dante. Blood streaking down his face from a cut above his eye. Gun in hand. Murder in his expression. "Get dressed," he snapped. "Now." "What's happening?" "Someone's trying to kill me. Move." I grabbed yesterday's clothes from the chair, yanking them on with shaking hands. Dante stood facing the door, weapon raised, every line of his body coiled for violence. "Done," I said. He crossed to me in 3 strides, grabbing my wrist. His hand was sticky with blood, his or someone else's. I couldn't tell. "Stay behind me. Don't let go. If I tell you to run, you run. Understand?" "Where? Do you understand?" "Yes." He pulled me into the hallway. It was chaos men firing from strategic positions. Bodies crumpled on the marble floor, the acrid smell of gunpowder burning my throat. Glass shattered somewhere below. Dante moved through it like he'd been born to it, never hesitating, never flinching. He fired twice without breaking stride, 2 shots, 2 bodies dropping. My hand clutched in his. He dragged me toward a door I'd never noticed before, hidden behind a tapestry. It opened onto a narrow servant's staircase. We descended into darkness, Dante leading with one hand on my wrist and the other on his gun. Behind us, the sounds of fighting grew muffled but didn't stop. The stairs ended in a wine cellar, stone walls, dim, emergency lighting, rows of bottles worth more than my education. Dante released me, moving to a wall panel. He pressed something, and a section swung open, a safe room. Inside, it was small, maybe 10 by 10, with reinforced walls and security monitors showing different angles of the house. On the screens, I could see the battle raging, could see bodies, blood, the systematic destruction of Dante's empire. "Who are they?" I asked. "Konstantin Petrov's men." Dante was checking his gun, reloading with practiced efficiency. "He thinks I'm weak, that I've gotten soft. Have you?" He looked at me then, really looked, and something shifted in his expression. "Maybe." Before I could process that, he grabbed my face between his bloody hands. His touch was fierce, almost painful. His eyes burned. "Listen, carefully," he said. "This room is impenetrable. The door locks from inside. There's food, water, weapons, if you know how to use them. If I don't come back..." "No. If I don't come back," he continued, voice hard. "Wait 12 hours. Then use the tunnel behind that panel. It leads to the street 3 blocks away. In the drawer there's cash, a phone, and a passport with your photo. Disappear. New name, new life. Never look back. Dante, promise me." I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think past the blood on his face and the terrible certainty in his eyes. "Why?" I whispered. "Why does it matter what happens to me?" His jaw worked. His thumbs brushed my cheekbones. "Because in 4 days, you've made me feel more human than I have in 6 years. And I'm selfish enough to want you alive, even if I'm not." Then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate and violent, and tasted like blood and coffee and the end of everything. His mouth claimed mine like he was memorizing it, like he was branding me, like this was the last chance he'd ever get. I kissed him back just as hard, clutching his shirt, not caring about the blood or the danger or the absolute insanity of wanting a man who'd kidnapped me. He pulled back, breathing ragged, pressed his forehead to mine. "Promise me, Sophia." "I promise. 12 hours. No less." "Okay." He stepped back, then forward again, kissing me once more quick, almost tender. Then he was gone, closing the door behind him. I heard the lock engage, heard his footsteps retreat. I sank against the wall, legs giving out. On the monitors, I watched Dante emerge back into the war zone, watched him move like death itself, taking down Petrov's men with cold efficiency. He was magnificent. He was terrifying. He was going to die, and I was trapped in a box, unable to do anything but watch. Time became meaningless. I watched the screens as the battle raged, watched Dante fight his way through his own home, every movement controlled and lethal, watched men die, watched blood paint his marble floors. Marco, the guard I recognized, took a bullet to the chest and didn't get up. The woman who'd served breakfast collapsed near the stairs. And Dante kept moving, kept fighting. A dark angel in an expensive suit, dealing death with terrible grace. 2 hours in, the gunfire slowed. The attackers were retreating or dead. Dante's men secured the perimeter, but Dante himself had disappeared from the monitors. Panic flooded through me. I cycled through every camera angle, searching. Nothing. Where was he? Minutes crawled by. 5, 10, 20. The monitors showed his men regrouping, tending wounded, removing bodies, normal operations resuming. But no Dante. I pressed my face against the door, listening. Nothing. The safe room was too well insulated. An hour passed. Then 2. I should have felt relieved. The danger was over. I was safe. But all I felt was fear crystallizing in my chest, sharp as glass. What if he was hurt? What if he was dying somewhere I couldn't see? What if I never saw him again? The thought cracked something open inside me, something I'd been trying desperately to keep sealed. 4 days ago, this man had been my captor, my threat. The reason I couldn't go home. Now he was something else entirely. At the 3-hour mark, the door handle rattled. I scrambled back, grabbing the gun Dante had mentioned from the drawer. I didn't know how to use it properly, but I could point and pull. The door opened. Dante stood there, swaying slightly. His shirt was soaked red. His face was gray. 12 hours, he said, voice weak. "You didn't wait. You're bleeding." "Yes." He took a step into the room and his knees buckled. I dropped the gun, catching him before he fell. God, he was heavy. All muscle and bone, and too much blood loss. "Help!" I screamed toward the open door. "Somebody help!" Footsteps pounded down the stairs. 2 of Dante's men appeared, rushing to support him. "Doctor's coming," one said. "Get him upstairs." They half carried him up the narrow staircase. I followed, hands shaking, his blood soaking into my clothes. They brought him to his bedroom. I'd never been inside before. It was Spartan, despite the luxury. A massive bed, dark furniture, no personal touches. A room that said its occupant never expected to live long enough to make it home. The doctor arrived minutes later, a small man with efficient hands. He cut away Dante's shirt, revealing the bullet wound high on his shoulder. "Out," the doctor ordered. "All of you. I'm staying," I heard myself say. Dante's eyes found mine. He was conscious, but barely. Pain etched into every line of his face. "Sophia, I'm staying," the doctor shrugged. "Then make yourself useful. Hold this." He shoved gauze into my hands, and I pressed it against Dante's shoulder while he worked. Blood welled hot against my palms. Dante's hand found mine, squeezing hard enough to hurt. "Talk to me," I said. "Stay awake." "Bossy," he muttered. "Yeah, well, you kidnapped me. I get to be bossy now." His mouth twitched, almost a smile. "Fair." The doctor probed the wound. Dante's hand crushed mine, but he didn't make a sound. "Bullets through," the doctor announced. "Clean. Lucky." "Not lucky," Dante rasped. "Trained. Whatever helps you sleep." The doctor began stitching. I watched his needle move through flesh, pulling skin together, making Dante whole again. My hands were covered in his blood, my clothes ruined. I'd seen more violence in 4 days than my entire previous life. I should have been traumatized, probably was, but all I felt was relief that he was alive. The doctor finished, wrapped the shoulder, gave Dante something for pain. "Rest," he ordered. "No heroics for at least a week." "Can't promise that," Dante said. "Then die faster. Your choice." The doctor packed his supplies. "Change the dressing twice daily. Watch for infection. Call me if fever spikes." He glanced at me. "You look like you have common sense. Keep him in bed." He left, closing the door softly. Silence fell. Dante lay against white pillows, bandaged and bloody and beautiful in a terrible way. "You should go," he said quietly. "Back to the safe room. Rest." "No." "Sophia." I said no. I moved to the bathroom, wetting a cloth. Returned to sit beside him on the bed. Began cleaning blood from his face with gentle strokes. "You don't get to almost die and then dismiss me. That's not how this works." "How does it work?" I paused, cloth against his jaw. "I don't know yet." His hand came up to catch my wrist, not pulling me away, just holding on. "You shouldn't care," he said. "About me. What I am." "Probably not. I've killed people, Sophia. Tonight. Before tonight. I'll kill again." "I know. I've ruined lives. Destroyed families. I'm not." He stopped, jaw working. "I'm not good." I set down the cloth, met his eyes. "Maybe not, but you're good to me." Something broke in his expression. "I kidnapped you. To keep me safe." "That's not an excuse." "No," I agreed. "But it's a reason." We stared at each other. The space between us felt charged, dangerous, full of things neither of us could say. "You could leave now," he said finally. "Constantine's dead. His men are scattered. No one's looking for you. I'd let you go. Would you?" "Yes." The word came out heavy, honest. "I don't want to, but I would." I thought about my apartment. My classes. My small, safe, boring life that had felt like a trap before I knew what real traps looked like. I thought about Dante's kiss in the safe room. About watching him fight. About 3 days of circling each other like planets caught in mutual gravity. "I'm not leaving," I said. "Sophia, not yet." I stood, moving to the window. Outside, dawn was breaking. Another day in a life I didn't recognize. I need to understand this. What this is. There's nothing to understand. I'm a criminal. You're... What? I turned back to face him. "Your prisoner? Your responsibility?" "What am I, Dante?" He looked at me for a long moment. "I don't know," he said finally, voice rough. "But you're mine. That much I know." The possessiveness in the words should have scared me. It didn't. Dante healed slowly, fighting every restriction. I became his unofficial keeper, changing dressings, forcing him to rest, keeping him in bed through sheer stubborn will. The house settled back into routines. Bodies were buried. Blood was cleaned. Windows were replaced. Evidence disappeared like it had never existed. Welcome to the Mafia. We developed our own routine. Mornings I'd bring breakfast to his room. He'd work from bed, laptop balanced on his knees, phone pressed to his ear, conducting business in 3 languages. I'd read in the armchair by his window, pretending not to listen while learning more about his world than he probably intended. Evenings were different, softer. He'd set aside work and we'd talk, really talk, about books, philosophy, the inexplicable nature of choice. He had read everything Dostoevsky to Dante, Plato to Piketty. His mind was sharp as his body, cutting through pretense to truth. Why literature? I asked one night. Why not business school? Economics? He was propped against pillows, shoulder healing cleanly despite his complaints. Lamplight carved shadows under his cheekbones. Because business teaches you how to make money, he said. Literature teaches you how to understand people. In my position, the latter is more useful. Is that why you know so much about me? You read my story? Something like that. His eyes found mine. You're not an easy read, Sophia. Contradictions. You test genius but underperform. You avoid attention but dress to be seen. You fear intimacy but crave connection. You're profiling me. I'm observing you. There's a difference. I set down my book. What do you see? He considered this, fingers tapping against his laptop. A woman running from potential. Someone who made herself small because being big was dangerous. Someone who's been waiting her whole life for permission to take up space. The words hit like bullets. That's not true? Yes, it is. He closed the laptop. I recognize it because I understand it. Power means target. Visibility means vulnerability. Sometimes invisibility feels safer. But you're not invisible. No, I chose the opposite strategy. Total visibility, total power. So much threat that people fear to move against me. Except Constantine did. Yes, his jaw tightened. That was a miscalculation. I've grown, distracted lately. The way he said it looking at me made heat crawl up my neck. Dante. A knock interrupted. Marco entered without waiting for permission, face grim. We have a problem, he said in Russian. Dante responded in the same language. Rapid, clipped. Marco's expression grew darker. I need to see this, Dante said, switching to English. He threw back the covers. You're supposed to rest, I protested. I'll rest when I'm dead. He stood, swaying only slightly. Which might be soon if I don't handle this. He pulled on a shirt carefully, favoring his injured shoulder. Marco hovered like he wanted to help but knew better than to try. Stay here, Dante told me. No. Sophia, you said I was yours. That means I'm part of this now. I stood, crossing to him. Where you go, I go. Something fierce moved through his expression. This isn't romantic, what I do. It's ugly. I know. You might see things that change how you look at me. Then I'll deal with it. He stared at me for a long moment, then nodded once. Marco, get her a jacket. Something dark. 20 minutes later, we were in a black SUV, driving through pre-dawn streets. Dante sat beside me, tension radiating from him. Marco drove. 2 other men followed in a second vehicle. We pulled up outside a warehouse in the industrial district. The kind of place where bad things happened and bodies disappeared. Last chance, Dante said to me. You can wait in the car. No. He reached across, took my hand, squeezed once. Don't interfere, no matter what you see. Inside, the warehouse smelled like rust and fear. A man was tied to a chair in the center of the space, young, maybe 30, sweating despite the cold. Another man stood nearby. Older, expensive suit, cruel eyes. Dante, he said pleasantly. Thank you for coming. Victor. Dante's voice was ice. Explain. This one was found planting surveillance in your territory. Victor gestured to the tied man. Mikhail's work, we think. Mikhail. Dante had mentioned that name on the phone my first morning here. Dante circled the chair slowly. Who do you work for? The man said nothing. I asked you a question. Still nothing. Dante's hand shot out, grabbing the man's jaw. I am patient with many things. Silence is not one of them. I don't... The man's voice cracked. Try again. Mikhail Sokolov. I work for Mikhail Sokolov. Dante released him, stepping back. What were you looking for? Weaknesses, entry points, intelligence. For what purpose? He wants your territory, your contacts, your... The man's eyes slid to me. Everything. Something dark moved through Dante's expression. I see. He pulled his gun. The tied man began to beg. I wanted to look away. Should have looked away. but I forced myself to watch, because Dante had been right. If I was going to be part of his world, I needed to see all of it. Sophia, Dante said without looking at me. Leave. No, this isn't for you. If it's part of you, it's for me. He turned then, eyes finding mine across the warehouse. In them I saw conflict, wanting to protect me from this, wanting me to understand it, wanting me to accept all of him, even the parts that were monstrous. Please, he said quietly. Just that, please. And because he'd never asked me for anything, because that single word cost him something, I nodded. I walked outside, leaned against the SUV, closed my eyes and waited. The gunshot came 2 minutes later, single, clean, final. When Dante emerged, blood speckled his shirt. He looked exhausted, ancient. I'm sorry, he said. Don't be. I straightened. You warned me who you were. I hoped. He stopped, started again. I hoped maybe you saw something else. I crossed to him, took his face in my hands like he'd done to me in the safe room, made him look at me. I see a man doing terrible things to protect something he values, I said. I see someone who carries weight no one should have to carry alone. I see you, Dante. All of you. Even this? Even this. He pulled me against him, careful of his shoulder, buried his face in my hair. His whole body was shaking. I don't know how to be good for you, he whispered, then be bad for me instead. I pulled back enough to meet his eyes. Be real, that's enough. He kissed me then. Not desperate like before, but deep, searching, like he was trying to find absolution in my mouth. I kissed him back, tasting violence and vulnerability in equal measure. When we broke apart, dawn was breaking properly. Pink light spilled over industrial ruins, making everything almost beautiful. Take me home, I said. You are home. His thumb brushed my lip. You've been home since you walked through that door. And God help me. He was right. The call came 3 days later while Dante was in a meeting. I was in his study, supposedly reading but actually staring out at the gardens, when my phone rang. My actual phone, the one I'd arrived with, which someone had charged and returned to me. Unknown number. Hello? Sophia Chen. The voice was male, smooth, Russian accented. We haven't been formally introduced. My name is Mikhail Sokolov. Ice flooded my veins. The man Dante had threatened. The one whose spy had died in that warehouse. How did you get your number? Please. I know everything about you. Where you went to school, your mother's address, the cafe where your friend Mira works. He paused. Would you like me to continue? What do you want? To talk. Just talk. Dante Volkov is holding you prisoner, yes? Against your will? That's none of your... I can help you leave. Safely. A new identity. Money. Protection. All you have to do is walk out the front door. My men will be waiting. Why would you do that? Because you're valuable to him. Mikhail's voice dropped, intimate and poisonous. And taking valuable things from Dante Volkov is my new favorite hobby. I'm not interested. Are you certain? He's a dangerous man, Sophia. Violent, unstable. How long before that violence turns on you? I thought of Dante's gentle hands changing my mind about leaving. Thought of him fighting through bullets to protect me. Thought of him shaking in my arms after executing a spy. You don't know him, I said. I know he's kept you locked in his house for over a week. I know he's isolated you from everyone you care about. Classic abuse tactics, wouldn't you say? This conversation is over. Wait. His voice sharpened. At least let me offer you truth. Dante killed your father. The world stopped. What? 6 years ago. Your father David Chen worked for my organization. He embezzled money. Dante found out. Dante personally put the bullet in his head. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. My father had died when I was 17. A mugging gone wrong, according to police. My mother had never believed it. You're lying. Am I? Ask him yourself. Ask Dante about the accountant he killed in 2019. Ask him about the Chinese-American man who begged for his life in Mandarin. Ask him why he's kept you prisoner, maybe guilt, maybe insurance, maybe just cosmic irony. Stop. The door, Sophia. Walk out. My men are waiting. Learn the truth. He hung up. I stood frozen, phone clutched in my shaking hand. It couldn't be true. It couldn't. But pieces clicked together. Dante knowing so much about me, keeping me close. The way he'd looked at me sometimes with something like recognition or regret. No. No. I turned toward the door and Dante was standing there, How long had he been listening? Sophia, is it true? My voice cracked. My father. Did you kill him? Dante's face went carefully blank. How did you? Is it true? Silence. Terrible, confirming silence. Yes, he said finally. I killed your father. The room tilted. I grabbed the desk for support. He worked for Mikhail, Dante continued, voice flat. He was embezzling. He knew too much. It was business. Business? I was screaming now. My father was business? Sophia, don't. I backed away from him. Don't come near me. Let me explain. Explain what? That you murdered my father and then kidnapped me? That you've been keeping me here out of what guilt? Some sick obsession? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Dante? Tears were streaming down my face. Tell me. Make it make sense. He moved toward me slowly. I didn't know. Not at first. When you walked through that door, I had no idea who you were. But you found out. Yes. That first night, when I had you investigated. Your name? Your father's name? The timeline. His jaw worked. I realized who you were, and you kept me anyway. Yes. Why? Because... He stopped, started again. Because I told myself it was about protection. That Constantine's men might target you. That keeping you here was safer than letting you go. But that's not why. No. The word came out broken. I kept you because some fucked up part of me thought maybe if I could save you, protect you, keep you alive, maybe it would balance the scales somehow. Maybe I could fix what I broke. I laughed bitterly. You can't fix my father being dead. I know. You can't fix us. I gestured between us. There is no us. There can't be. You killed him, Dante. You killed my father. I know, he said again. I know, and I'm sorry, and I have no right to ask you to forgive me. But Sophia, no. I was sobbing now, chest heaving. You don't get to do this. You don't get to kill someone I loved and then make me fall for you. That's not you can't. I know. Stop saying that. I grabbed the nearest thing, a crystal paperweight, and threw it. Dante didn't move. It hit the wall beside his head and shattered. I hate you, I said. I know. I wish I'd never walked through that door. I know. I wish you died in that attack. He flinched. I know. I sank to the floor, back against the wall, crying so hard I thought I might break apart. Everything hurt. Everything was wrong. The man I'd started to care about, to maybe love, had destroyed my family. Dante stood across the room, not approaching, giving me space. His face was drawn, gray, like something inside him had died. Mikhail told you, he said after a moment. On the phone. Yes. He's trying to take you from me. It's a game to him. Everything's a game to you people. I wiped my face roughly. Lives are just pawns. Yes. Stop agreeing with me. What do you want me to say? His voice finally cracked. That I'm not a monster? I am. That I regret what I've become? I do. That I'd take it back if I could? I would. All of it. Everything. Just to what? Just to deserve you. The words came out raw. Just to have the right to stand in the same room with you. Just to not see that look on your face. I stared at him. At this dangerous, powerful man who'd killed without hesitation. Who ruled an empire of blood and fear. Who was breaking apart in front of me. I can't forgive you, I whispered. I know. I don't even know if I can look at you. I know. But I can't leave either. The admission hurt worse than anything. I can't leave, and I hate that I can't leave, and I hate you for making me feel this way. Dante's hands clenched at his sides. Tell me what you need. I need my father back. Can you give me that? No. Then you can't give me what I need. I pushed to my feet, legs unsteady. Walked past him toward the door. Where are you going? He asked. I don't know. Away. Out. Somewhere that isn't here. Sophia. Mikhail's men. I don't care. I turned back. Maybe they'll kill me. Maybe that would be easier than this. I saw fear flash across his face. Real, raw fear. Please don't, he said. Please don't do that to me. Why should I care what happens to you? You shouldn't. He took a step toward me, stopped himself. But you do. I see it. Even now. Even hating me. You still care. I did. God help me, I did. That just makes it worse, I said. Then I left, closing the door on his stricken face. I made it to the gardens before the tears stopped. Cold air burned my lungs. Winter was settling in, making everything brittle and sharp. I walked the gravel paths blindly, not caring where I went, just needing to move. My father was dead because of Dante. My father who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd read me stories in Mandarin and English, who'd believed in me even when I stopped believing in myself. Gone. Because of business. I reached the fountain at the garden center and sank onto its edge, put my face in my hands and let myself break. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for my fingers to go numb. Long enough for the sky to deepen from blue to indigo. Long enough for Marco to find me. Miss Chen. He stood at a respectful distance. You should come inside. Why? It's not safe out here. I laughed bitterly. Nothing's safe. Not really. Mr. Volkov is worried. Mr. Volkov can go to hell. Marco shifted uncomfortably. He told me what happened. About your father. I looked up at him. Did you know? When you dragged me into that house, did you know what he'd done? No. He met my eyes steadily. None of us knew. Dante keeps his ghosts private. His ghosts. I stood, suddenly furious again. My father isn't a ghost. He was a person. He had a daughter who loved him. I know. I'm sorry. Everyone's sorry. Sorry doesn't bring him back. No, Marco hesitated. But for what it's worth, Dante's been different since you arrived. More. Human. He laughs sometimes, talks about things that aren't business. He's been coming back from the edge. I don't care. Maybe you should. Marco's voice was gentle. Because the man you're angry at, the one who killed your father, isn't quite the same man who's upstairs destroying himself over losing you. Stop trying to. I'm not defending him, Marco interrupted. What he did was unforgivable. But people are complicated, Miss Chen. They can be monsters and still love. Can destroy and still protect. That doesn't make it okay. No. But it makes it human. He left me there, and I hated that his words made sense. Darkness fell completely. The house lights came on, turning windows into gold squares. I thought about Mikhail's offer. Walk out the door. New life. Freedom from this nightmare. But it would also mean never understanding. Never getting answers. Never knowing if what I'd felt for Dante, what I still felt, despite everything, had been real. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. The offer stands. My men are at the north gate. Just walk. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I turned and walked back toward the house. Not because I'd forgiven Dante, but because I wasn't done with him yet. I found him in his office, standing at the window, staring out at nothing. He looked like he'd aged years and hours. Sophia. He turned, hope and fear warring in his expression. Don't, I said. Don't hope. I'm not here to forgive you. Then why are you here? Because I need to understand. I closed the door behind me. I need to know exactly what happened, every detail. Why him? How it happened, all of it. Dante's jaw worked. Sophia, you owe me this. After everything, you owe me truth. He nodded slowly, moved to the sidebar and poured 2 drinks, handed me one. Your father worked as an accountant for Mikhail's organization, he began. Money laundering mostly, moving funds through legitimate businesses. He was good at it. Too good. Started skimming small amounts at first, then larger. Maybe he thought no one would notice. Maybe he got greedy. Maybe he was desperate. I swallowed bourbon, letting it burn. Mikhail found out, Dante continued, sent someone to talk to him. Your father panicked, tried to run, took evidence with him, files, financial records, things that could have destroyed Mikhail's operations. So you hunted him down. Yes, no hesitation. Mikhail hired me to fix it. Clean, quiet, make the problem go away. And you did. I did. Dante's hands were shaking. I found him in a parking garage. He tried to negotiate, told me he had a daughter, begged me to let him go, offered me the files if I'd just let him disappear. Tears ran down my face. But you didn't. No, because in my world, mercy is weakness. And I was young and ruthless and trying to build a reputation. He looked at me finally. I put the gun to his head and I pulled the trigger. He said your name before he died. I made a sound, half sob, half scream. Sophia, he whispered. Your name was the last word your father spoke. I threw the glass. It shattered against the wall. Why are you telling me that? I shouted. Why would you tell me that? Because you wanted truth. His voice was hollow. All of it. I went to him then, I don't know why. To hit him, maybe. To make him hurt like I was hurting. But when I reached him, when my fists connected with his chest, he didn't fight back, just stood there and took it. Let me beat against him until my strength gave out and I was sobbing against his shirt. His arms came around me carefully. "I'm sorry," he said into my hair. "I'm so fucking sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. I know. I should hate you forever. You should, but I don't." The words ripped out of me. I don't know how, but I don't. His arms tightened. "I don't deserve that." "No, you don't." I pulled back to look at him. "But 6 years ago, you were someone else. Someone I never knew. And the man you are, now the one who kept me safe, who fought for me, who breaks apart at the thought of losing me, that's who I'm angry at. That's who I can't forgive. Then hate me as I am now. I can't." I grabbed his face, forcing him to meet my eyes. "Don't you understand? I can't hate you for being the man I fell in love with." Dante's eyes widened. "Sophia, I love you." Saying it felt like bleeding. "I love you, and I hate that I love you, and I hate you for making me love you, and I hate myself for not being able to stop." He kissed me, then desperate, broken, tasting like salt and bourbon and regret. I kissed him back just as hard, channeling grief and rage and impossible love into the press of our mouths. "I love you," he said against my lips. "I've loved you since you walked through that door, looking terrified and brave. I've loved you every moment since. That doesn't fix anything. I know. We're not okay. I know. I don't know if we'll ever be okay. I know." His forehead pressed to mine. "But I'll spend the rest of my life trying to earn forgiveness I don't deserve if you'll let me." I pulled back, looked at this complicated, damaged man who'd destroyed my past and somehow become my future. "Then start now," I said. "Tell me about him. My father. Not how he died. How he lived." Dante's breath caught. Tell me, please." So he did. Told me about my father's terrible jokes, his careful way of handling money, his fear and bravery in those final moments. Told me everything he remembered, giving me back pieces of someone I'd lost. And I listened, tears streaming, held by the man who'd taken my father away and was now the only one who could give him back. We spent the night on the floor of his office, wrapped in each other, talking until dawn. It didn't fix anything. Couldn't fix anything. But it was something. A beginning of understanding, maybe. A foundation built on truth instead of secrets. When morning came, reality crashed back. "Mikhail knows I told you," Dante said, standing at his window in pre-dawn gray. "He'll escalate." "What does that mean?" "It means he'll try to take you by force if you won't leave willingly." He turned to face me. "And he'll use everyone you care about to make it happen." Fear spiked through me. Mira. My mother. Already protected. I had men assigned to them the day you arrived. Without telling me, would you have believed me if I had? Or would you have fought harder to leave? He had a point. "So what happens now?" I asked. "Now we end this." "Mikhail wants war? I'll give him war." He moved to his desk, pulling up files on his computer. "Come here." I joined him. The screen showed organizational charts, financial documents, surveillance photos. "This is Mikhail's empire," Dante explained. "Ports, shipping, gambling, drugs. He's overextended, expanding too fast, making enemies faster than allies." He pointed to specific businesses. "These are weak points, places where pressure could cause collapse. You're going to destroy him." "Yes." "How?" "By being better at this game than he is." Dante pulled up another file. "He thinks he holds the cards, knows about your father, knows it creates wedge between us. He thinks you'll either leave or I'll be distracted protecting you. And you won't be?" "Oh, I'll be distracted." His eyes found mine. "But I'm also very good at working while obsessed." Despite everything, I felt my mouth twitch toward a smile. "What do you need from me?" I asked. "I need you safe. I need you to trust me. And," he hesitated, "I need you to make a call." "To who?" "Mikhail. Tell him you've decided to take his offer. That you're walking out tonight." Understanding dawned. "You want to set a trap?" "Yes. He'll send his best men. I'll be waiting." "And if something goes wrong?" "It won't, Dante. It won't," he repeated firmly. "Because I will not lose you. Not to him. Not to anyone." The certainty in his voice made me believe him. That evening, I made the call. Mikhail answered on the first ring. "Sophia, I hoped I'd hear from you. I'm leaving," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Tonight. Like you offered." Smart girl. What changed your mind? He told me. About my father. About everything. I let real emotion leak through. I can't stay with someone who did that. No, Mikhail said softly. Of course you can't. Where and when? The North Gate. Midnight. Perfect. My men will be ready. You have documents? Money? Yes. Dante gave me everything. I paused for effect. I think he wants me to go. Feels too guilty to keep me. Mikhail laughed. Good. Guilt makes people weak. I'll see you soon, Sophia. Welcome to freedom. He hung up. Dante was watching from across the room. Well done. I feel like I'm betraying him by lying so well. You're protecting yourself. That's not betrayal. Marco entered. Everything's in place. Snipers positioned. Escape routes covered. And Mikhail's men? 8, approaching from the east. 2 vehicles, heavily armed. Dante checked his gun. Excessive for an extraction. He doesn't plan to let her go, Marco said. Plans to use her against you. Ice flooded my veins. What? He thinks if he controls you, he controls me, Dante explained. Or at minimum, keeps me distracted while he moves on my territories. He met my eyes. He was never going to give you freedom, Sophia. Just a different cage. Then we really are doing the right thing. Yes. He crossed to me, cupping my face. But I need you to promise me something. When this starts, you run. You don't watch. You don't wait. You go to the safe room and you stay there until I come for you. Dante. Promise me. I nodded. I promise. He kissed me soft, almost tender. I love you. I know. I pressed my forehead to his. Try not to die. I'll do my best. Midnight came cold and clear. I stood at the north gate, wrapped in a dark coat, a bag slung over my shoulder for authenticity. Behind me, Dante's house blazed with light. Ahead, darkness and gravel paths. 2 vehicles approached slowly. No headlights. They stopped 30 yards out. 8 men emerged, too many, too armed. One approached alone. Older, expensive, coat, cruel smile. Mikhail himself. Sophia. He opened his arms like greeting a friend. I'm so glad you came to your senses. I want to leave. That's all. Of course. But first, he gestured to his men. A precaution. We need to make sure Dante didn't send you as a trap. Fear spiked. This wasn't the plan. Search her, Mikhail ordered. 2 men moved toward me. I backed away. You said I could leave safely. And you will. After we verify, you're not wired or armed. Rough hands grabbed me, searched my pockets, my bag. Found nothing because there was nothing. Clean, one reported. Good. Mikhail stepped closer. Now, here's what's actually going to happen. You're going to call Dante, tell him to come out. Alone, unarmed. No. No? He pulled a gun, pressing it to my temple. I think yes. Everything happened at once. Gunfire erupted from the house, Dante's snipers taking shots. Mikhail's men scattered, returning fire. Mikhail grabbed me, using me as a shield. Clever, he snarled. But not clever enough. He dragged me toward his vehicle. I fought, but he was stronger. Then Dante was there, appearing from shadows like death itself. No hesitation, no mercy, he moved through Mikhail's men, like they were paper. Let her go, he said, voice arctic. Or what? You'll shoot through her to get to me? No. Dante's gun never wavered. I'll make you wish I had. Mikhail's arm tightened around my throat. She's coming with me, Dante. New negotiation. Her life for your territories. There is no negotiation. Then she dies. Then you die. Dante's eyes were black, empty, terrifying. And I promise you, Mikhail, your death will take days. For the first time, I saw fear flicker across Mikhail's face. You're bluffing. Try me. The standoff held Mikhail's gun to my head. Dante's gun on Mikhail, both of them absolutely willing to pull the trigger. Sophia, Dante said quietly. Remember what I taught you, about pressure points. Understanding flooded through me. I slammed my elbow back into Mikhail's solar plexus, dropped my weight, twisted away. Dante's shot took Mikhail in the shoulder. Mikhail fell, screaming. Dante was on him instantly, gun pressed to his forehead. Sophia, he said without looking at me. Go inside. Dante, go. I ran. Behind me, I heard Mikhail begging. Heard Dante's cold response. Heard the gunshot that ended it. When Dante found me in the safe room an hour later, he was covered in blood and ash. "It's done," he said. "All of it? All of it. Mikhail's dead. His operation fractured. My territory's secure." He sank down beside me. "You're safe now. Truly safe." I took his hand. "We both are." "Yes," he kissed my knuckles. "We both are." Outside, sirens wailed. Police would come, ask questions, find nothing. Evidence would disappear. This was his world, and he knew how to navigate it. But in this room, with his hand in mine and dawn approaching, we were just two damaged people trying to build something real from the wreckage. 3 months later, I stood in Dante's study, our study now, sorting through boxes of my things. Moving in had been gradual. A drawer, a closet. Months of negotiation between who I'd been and who I was becoming. "You don't have to do this," Dante had said. "Keep your apartment, keep your options." But I'd chosen to stay, not because I had to, because I wanted to. The grief never left. Some days I'd catch myself wanting to call my father, forgetting for a moment he was gone. Other days I'd look at Dante and remember exactly how my father died and want to scream. We went to therapy. Separately at first, then together. Dr. Morrison specialized in trauma and complex grief. She never judged, never pushed, just gave us tools to navigate the impossible situation we'd created. "Love doesn't erase harm," she'd said in our first session, "but sometimes it can coexist with it. The question is whether you can both live in that complexity." We were trying, some days successfully, other days not. Dante had changed too. Slowly pulling back from the bloodiest parts of his business. Delegating more. Looking for ways to legitimize his operations. It would take years, maybe decades, but he was trying. For me. For us. For the possibility of a future that wasn't soaked in violence. "Hey." His voice came from the doorway. "You okay?" I turned. He'd just returned from a meeting, still in his suit. Tie loosened, looking tired but content. "I found something," I said, holding up a photograph. He crossed to me. The photo showed my father younger, smiling, standing outside a restaurant I didn't recognize. "Where did you get this?" "Your files, the ones you kept about him." I looked up at him. "Why did you keep these?" Dante took the photo, studying it. "After I killed him, I made myself learn about him. Who he was, what he loved. I told myself it was strategy, know your targets, but really..." He paused. "Really, I think I needed to understand what I'd taken from the world. You kept his memory alive. In my own fucked up way, yes." I took the photo back. "Can I keep this? Everything I have is yours. You know that." I did know. Knew it in the way he'd signed over half his assets to me. Knew it in the way he'd introduced me to his organization as his equal, not his possession. Knew it in the small, daily choices to build trust instead of control. "I've been thinking," I said, "about the scholarship fund you mentioned. The one for kids who lost parents to violence. What about it? I want to be involved. Actually involved. Not just a name on the board." Dante's expression softened. "You're sure?" "No. But I want to try. Want to make something good from all this ugliness." He pulled me against him. "You already do. Every day." We stood there, wrapped in each other, while afternoon light painted gold across the floor. "I talked to my mom," I said into his chest. I felt him tense. "And?" Told her everything. About you. About Dad. About us. How did she take it? Badly at first. Hung up on me. But she called back yesterday. I pulled back to look at him. "She wants to meet you, Sophia." "I know. It's impossible. It's crazy." But she said. My voice cracked. She said that grief makes strange bedfellows. That if I found something worth holding on to, she wouldn't be the one to take it away. Dante's eyes were bright. "When?" "Sunday dinner. If you're willing. I'd face a firing squad for you. I think I can handle your mother." I laughed, surprising myself. "She's scarier than a firing squad. Then I'll need to prepare appropriately." Sunday came too quickly. We drove to my mother's house in Queens, a modest 2-story she'd lived in for 30 years. I'd warned her about Dante's security, and she'd responded with a terse text. "1 car, 2 guards maximum, no weapons at my table." "Your mother has rules," Dante observed as Marco, and 1 other guard took positions outside. "My mother has opinions." I squeezed his hand. "Ready?" "No, but let's do this anyway." She opened the door before we knocked, small, fierce, with my eyes and iron in her spine. "Mom," Sophia. She looked past me to Dante. "You must be the man who killed my husband." Christ. No preamble. No easing in. "Yes, ma'am," Dante said quietly. "I am." They stared at each other. I held my breath. "Well," my mother said finally. "Come in. Dinner's getting cold." We followed her inside. The house smelled like the dumplings of my childhood, pork and ginger and home. Dinner was excruciating and beautiful. My mother asked questions, blunt, direct, devastating. Dante answered everything honestly. About the killing. About his world. About how he'd fallen for me despite knowing he shouldn't. "Do you love my daughter?" she asked over tea. "More than anything in this world or the next. Even though she represents everything you've done wrong?" "Because she represents everything I've done wrong." He met her eyes steadily. "She's my conscience, my redemption, my punishment and my reward all at once." My mother nodded slowly. "Good. She deserves someone who knows what they've cost her." "I do, ma'am. Every day." She turned to me. "And you? You're sure about this?" "No," I admitted. "But I'm sure I want to try." "Then try." She reached across the table, taking my hand. "But Sophia, don't lose yourself in him. Don't let his guilt or your grief make you small again." "I won't. I promise." She nodded, seemingly satisfied. "More dumplings?" Driving home, Dante was quiet. "You okay?" I asked. "Your mother is terrifying. I warned you." "You did." He glanced at me. "She loves you very much." "I know. And she'll never forgive me." "No, probably not." I laced my fingers through his. "But she'll accept you. For my sake. That's something. It's more than I deserve." We drove in silence for a while. Then, "Sophia." "Yeah?" "Thank you. For this. For trying. For not giving up on us. Thank you for being worth the effort." He brought my hand to his lips. "I'll spend my whole life trying to earn that." "I know." I smiled. "I'm counting on it." That night, lying in bed with his arms around me, I thought about everything that had led here. A glitched address. A door opening. A man holding my delivery bag and a gun and my future all at once. "Dante?" I whispered into the darkness. Are you happy?" He was quiet for a moment. "Yes, despite everything. Because of everything. Yes. Me too." "Really? Really?" I turned to face him. "It's complicated and messy, and sometimes I still want to scream at you. But yes, I'm happy." He kissed my forehead. "Good, because I plan to make you even happier. For the rest of our lives. That's a long time. Not long enough." I believed him. Believed in us. In the strange, impossible thing we were building from violence and grief and love that shouldn't exist but did anyway. Outside, the city hummed. Dante's world continued, deals made, territories defended, justice delivered in ways the law couldn't touch. But here, in this room, we were just us. Two people trying to be better than their worst moments. Two people choosing each other despite every reason not to. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But it was ours. And that, somehow, was enough.